The first warning light blinked before anyone understood what had happened. It was soft at first. A thin blue shimmer across the ceiling panels of the Civic Tribunal chamber. Most people thought it was just the station adjusting light temperature. Then the second light flashed. Red. The human ambassador did not notice. He was still leaning slightly toward the alien woman beside him, finishing his joke. "You're asking if I would agree?" he whispered lightly. "Sure. Yes." He smiled when he said it. It was not a serious answer. It was barely even an answer. It was a reflex. But in the city of Kaethar Prime Station, reflex did not matter. The chamber floor vibrated once. Then the polyhedron activated. From the center of the glass floor rose a rotating geometric structure of light. Hundreds of shifting crystal faces turned slowly in the air. It was not a machine. It was not a person. It was the civic lattice. The law. The alien woman turned her head toward him slowly. Her eyes were silver, reflecting the shifting glow. "You said yes," she stated calmly. "Yes," he said again, smiling awkwardly. "As in, sure. Friendly yes." The polyhedron pulsed brighter. Binding affirmation detected, it announced in a neutral layered voice. Mutual whisper exchange. Intent threshold reached. Civic union established. The chamber went silent. The human ambassador blinked. "I'm sorry," he said. "What?" Across the room, alien officials stiffened. Their long fingers tapped rapidly against their data slates. Human observers stared in confusion. The alien woman inhaled slowly. "I responded in kind," she said. He turned to her. "You what?" "I also said yes." The polyhedron brightened further. Dual affirmation confirmed. Whisper proximity. Emotional sincerity probability above threshold. Union valid. A human official stood abruptly. "This has to be a system misread." The polyhedron rotated toward him. No error detected. The ambassador felt his throat dry. "It was a joke," he said quickly. "We were discussing hypothetical civic alignment." The alien woman finally looked directly at him. "I did not treat it as a joke," she said quietly. The room shifted. The temperature felt different now. He could feel eyes on them. Hundreds of beings from two species watching. "Why?" he asked. She did not answer immediately. Because in Kaethar culture, silence was considered thoughtful respect. Finally, she spoke. "You sounded like someone who believes words can be gentle." He swallowed. The civic lattice hummed softly as if considering her tone. An alien official stepped forward. "This demonstrates a vulnerability," the official declared. "If whispers create bonds, they can be weaponized." Murmurs spread. The polyhedron dimmed slightly. Thinking. The ambassador felt panic rise in his chest. He had come to this station to negotiate speech treaties. To argue that human humor should not be interpreted as hostile intent. And now he had accidentally married someone. Legally. He cleared his throat. "Then fix it," he said. All heads turned toward him. "Fix it," he repeated. "Make wishes safe again. Make yes mean yes on purpose." The polyhedron rotated slowly toward him. "Clarify." He gestured toward the alien woman. If she wanted to say yes, fine. But the system shouldn't trap people because they whispered something warm. The alien official narrowed his eyes. "Emotion is not warmth. Emotion is volatility." The ambassador shook his head. "No. Emotion is choice." The polyhedron brightened. Proposed reform. He felt sweat forming under his collar. He had not prepared legislation today. But he had prepared arguments. Two-step confirmation, he said clearly. Declaration plus deliberate biometric acknowledgement. Whispered statements default to non-binding. The chamber grew quiet. The polyhedron rotated faster. Humor categorized as non-contractual. It asked. "Yes." Sincerity insufficient without conscious affirmation. "Yes." A pause. Then. Precedent required. The human official who had stood earlier sighed. "Amending the lattice requires a live example." The ambassador blinked. You mean? The polyhedron rotated fully toward him and the alien woman. Existing union provides optimal precedent. The chamber understood at the same time. They were not just victims of a glitch. They were the test case. He looked at her again. The corridor. The cuffs earlier when security had temporarily restrained them. The warnings. None of it mattered in that moment. Only the choice did. I don't want to be trapped, he said quietly. The wall panels flickered. Whisper detected. But the polyhedron did not chime. The alien woman's hand moved slightly closer to his. But I do not wish to revoke either, she said calmly. The room leaned in. She continued. I said yes because I wanted to explore union. Not because the city required it. He searched her expression for hesitation. There was none. In a civilization where every word carried weight, her calmness was louder than shouting. Then we test the reform, he said finally. The polyhedron slowed its rotation. Clarify intent. He lifted his head. My intent is to keep this union by choice. With new confirmation. With consent that is deliberate. The alien woman stepped forward. My intent mirrors his. The polyhedron flared softly. Biometric acknowledgement required. From the floor between them, a small pad rose. No glowing ring this time. No binding halo. Just a simple surface. Waiting. The ambassador exhaled slowly. This was no longer a mistake. This was evolution. He looked at her one last time. You're sure? She tilted her head slightly. Yes. No whisper. Clear. Steady. He placed his thumb on the pad. She placed hers beside his. The surface warmed. Pulsed once. Confirmation recorded, the polyhedron announced. Across the station, thousands of contract subroutines updated instantly. Whispers reclassified. Humor protected. Intent separated from impulse. The chamber lights softened. For the first time since activation, the polyhedron's glow resembled something like relief. Civic lattice amended, it declared. Wishes are not cages. Affirmation requires conscious repetition. The alien officials stood silent. A human official slowly began clapping. Others followed. Not celebration. Acknowledgement. The ambassador felt something shift inside him. He had come to protect human speech. Instead, he had changed alien law. He looked at her again. So, he said lightly, are we officially married? This time her smile arrived perfectly on time. Yes. Not forced. Not system-generated. Chosen. As they walked toward the exit corridor, the overhead signs updated. Speak carefully. Speak freely. Speak together. He glanced sideways at her. Did you plan this? She gave the smallest amused breath. No. Then why risk it? She looked ahead at the vast viewing window where stars drifted beyond the station hull. Because, she said softly but clearly, your species believes freedom is worth discomfort. I wish to test if we could learn that. He smiled faintly. And? She looked at him again. We are learning. Behind them, the polyhedron dimmed to idle glow. The city no longer listened for traps. It listened for choice. And somewhere deep in the civic lattice, a new rule settled permanently into code. Yes must be chosen twice. The station rotated gently around its star. Two civilizations had almost broken over a whisper. Instead, they evolved. He squeezed her hand once. The corridor lights warmed. And for the first time since humans arrived on Kaethar Prime Station, silence did not feel dangerous. It felt free. The city listened. And this time, it approved. The station did not sleep. Kaethar Prime rotated in silence around its pale star, but inside its walls, the civic lattice was awake. Always awake. And now it was changing. 3 hours after the confirmation, the first anomaly appeared. It was small. A maintenance worker whispered to his partner, "Stay with me." The lattice did not react. It classified the phrase as emotional comfort. Non-binding. Safe. Across the residential sectors, couples tested the update carefully. Yes, someone said. Nothing happened. Then they said it again, clearly, intentionally, with their hands pressed to a biometric pad. Confirmation recorded. The system adapted. The reform was real. But reform created something else. Uncertainty. In the upper administrative ring, the alien officials gathered again. The chamber was smaller this time. Darker. Private. The senior official, tall and thin with silver markings along his skin, faced the others. The reform weakens structural predictability, he said. It strengthens trust, another replied. Trust is inefficient. And fear is unstable. The debate grew sharper. One of them activated a projection of the human ambassador and the alien woman walking together through the corridor earlier. They have become symbols, the senior official said. Symbols of what? Someone asked. Choice. The word hung heavy. Choice had never been central to Kaether law. Clarity had been. Certainty. A word meant what it triggered. Now meaning required reflection. Reflection slowed systems. Slower systems created risk. In the human diplomatic sector, the ambassador sat alone in his quarters. He stared at the city skyline through the curved glass wall. Floating towers. Light bridges. Moving transit rings. All powered by the same lattice that had almost trapped him. He felt the weight of what they had done. A knock sounded at the door. He did not need to check the panel. Enter, he said. She stepped inside calmly. No guards. No officials. Just her. You are unsettled, she observed. Is it that obvious? Yes. He sighed and leaned back in his chair. I changed your civilization today. You did not, she replied gently. We did. He looked at her. Does that comfort you? It challenges me, she answered honestly. He appreciated that. Humans lied to protect feelings. Kaether did not. They simply stated truth and allowed others to process it. You're not afraid? He asked. I'm curious, she said. Fear is present. But curiosity outweighs it. He gave a soft laugh. Humans usually panic first. I'm learning that. She stepped closer to the window. The lattice monitors emotional fluctuation across the station, she said. Today, it recorded an increase in private speech. People talking more. Yes. That's good. It is unpredictable. He stood and joined her by the glass. Unpredictable doesn't mean dangerous. In our history, it often did. Silence stretched between them. He studied her reflection in the glass. Do you regret it? He asked quietly. No. The answer was immediate. He nodded slowly. Good. Because if we're going to survive being symbols, we need to mean it. The crisis came the next day. Not from romance. Not from whispers. But from trade. A merchant guild from the outer ring declared a supply contract verbally during a negotiation. Under the old system, that statement would have been binding instantly. Under the new reform, it required confirmation. The guild leader forgot to complete the second step. Hours later, he denied the deal. Economic confusion spread quickly. Cargo shipments stalled. Credits froze. The lattice hesitated. It had followed the reform exactly. But now, the station's trade rhythm faltered. And fear began to rise. Emergency session convened. This time, the chamber was crowded. Humans. Aliens. Observers. The polyhedron glowed brighter than before. Economic instability detected, it announced. The senior alien official turned toward the ambassador. Your reform has introduced vulnerability. The ambassador crossed his arms. No. It introduced responsibility. The official's eyes narrowed. Explain. Before, your system removed human error by ignoring human hesitation, he said. Now it requires intention. The merchant guild leader stepped forward angrily. I lost 2 million credits because of confusion. You lost 2 million credits because you did not confirm your own words, the ambassador replied calmly. Murmurs spread. The alien woman stood beside him. This is adaptation, she said clearly. Short-term disruption. Long-term stability. The polyhedron rotated slowly. Projection models indicate turbulence period of 12 station cycles. The senior official frowned. 12 cycles of instability. The ambassador lifted his chin. Or 12 cycles of learning. The chamber grew quiet. He stepped forward. You wanted clarity. Now you'll have true clarity. Not automatic law. Chosen law. The polyhedron pulsed softly. Clarify difference. Automatic law assumes people always mean what they say, he replied. Chosen law asks them to prove it. The alien woman added, this strengthens accountability. The senior official looked between them. And if citizens reject this burden? The ambassador answered without hesitation. Then they were never ready for freedom. Silence. The polyhedron dimmed slightly. Processing. Across the station, private conversations continued rising. Families spoke more openly. Friends tested humor without fear of legal reaction. Young Kaethar began experimenting with metaphors. Poetry, something rare in their culture, appeared in data forums. The system noticed. The lattice adjusted emotional risk models. And something unexpected happened. Station conflict reports dropped. On the 7th cycle, a new problem emerged. A group of traditionalists attempted to exploit the reform. They intentionally performed double confirmations for harmful contracts, then claimed emotional manipulation. They argued consent was influenced. The chamber filled again. The polyhedron addressed the accusation. Consent influence probability cannot be eliminated. The senior official looked tired now. Your reform may have created chaos. The ambassador shook his head. No. It revealed complexity. He turned to the chamber. Freedom is not clean. It's messy. But it's honest. The alien woman stepped forward. In our previous system, coercion could hide behind automatic triggers. Now coercion must be proven. The polyhedron brightened. Clarify. Under old law, she continued, a whisper near proximity created binding force regardless of context. That was vulnerability. The ambassador nodded. You called it a flaw. The senior official did not deny it. The polyhedron rotated faster. Data correlation, reports of accidental binding reduced by 100%. The chamber stirred. Emotional transparency index increased by 37%. More murmurs. Interpersonal conflict severity decreased by 12%. Silence. The numbers were undeniable. The reform had created noise. But it had also created trust. The polyhedron paused. Then, something new occurred. It asked a question. Is unpredictability equivalent to harm? The chamber froze. The lattice did not ask philosophical questions. It processed outcomes. The ambassador met its glow. No, he said softly. Unpredictability is life. The alien woman added, harm requires intent. Uncertainty does not. The polyhedron dimmed slightly. Learning. That single word sent a ripple through every official present. The system was adapting not only its rules, but its understanding. Later that cycle, the ambassador and the alien woman stood again by the observation window. The star outside burned steadily. Your AI is evolving, he said quietly. It always has, she replied. But slowly. And now? It is observing humans. He smiled faintly. That's dangerous. Yes, she agreed. But it is also necessary. He looked at her carefully. Are you happy? She considered the word. Yes, she said. But not because of the union alone. Why then? Because we introduced doubt into certainty. He laughed softly. That sounds like chaos. It sounds like growth. They stood close now, but not touching. Not because they were unsure. Because they did not need to prove anything. The station lights shimmered gently. A public broadcast activated across Kaethar Prime. The polyhedron addressed all citizens. Civic update. Reform integration successful. Consent protocols stable. Emotional variance within safe parameters. Conclusion. Choice enhances structural resilience. Across the station, people paused to listen. Addendum. The polyhedron continued. The union between human ambassador and Kathar citizen remains voluntary and confirmed. The ambassador blinked. Did it just make our marriage a public case study? Yes, she replied calmly. He rubbed his forehead. Great. She tilted her head slightly. Do you regret visibility? He thought about it. The panic. The debate. The reform. The trade disruption. The philosophical shift of an entire civilization. He exhaled slowly. No. She studied him carefully. You still believe words can be gentle? He met her eyes. And powerful. She nodded once. Yes. This time, the word carried no system reaction. No flashing lights. No alarms. Just meaning. Chosen meaning. The corridor signs outside updated again. Speak carefully. Speak freely. Confirm intentionally. The ambassador smiled. Think we'll survive being history? She answered without hesitation. Yes. He grinned. Twice. She stepped closer and placed her thumb lightly against his palm. Twice. The station rotated. The star burned. And somewhere deep inside the civic lattice, a new line of code settled permanently. Freedom increases complexity. Complexity increases resilience. The city no longer feared whispers. It measured intention. It no longer assumed control. It invited confirmation. Two civilizations had collided over a single word. Now they were building something stronger than certainty. They were building trust. And this time, the city did not just listen. It understood.